Good morning, everyone. Oh, we got to do better than that. Let's try that again. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. I know you all are freezing, right? Freezing? Yeah. Everybody's like shivering? Yeah. Okay. Let me start by saying thank you to the administration here at Bishop, the amazing faculty and staff for allowing me to be here today and just share a few words and assist the community in making a really important announcement. Just a little bit of background about me. I am not from Southern California. I'm actually from Cleveland, Ohio. Anybody have family in Ohio? One person. All right, we'll talk later. That's good. All right. Y'all think it's cold in here now. Go back to Ohio. I live a couple of different lives professionally. In one life, I serve as the principal and CEO of a diversity and educational equity consulting firm called Success Beyond Measure. And in that work, I get a chance to engage with schools, nonprofit, community-based organizations, for-profit companies across the country, and engage in conversation around issues of diversity, equity, and justice. So that's one life. The other life, when I'm here in Southern California, I am an assistant professor at Loyola Marymount University in the Department of Sociology. So anybody familiar with LMU? Yeah? Okay. All right, good. So those two things keep me pretty busy. But I jumped at the chance to be here today to be with the Bishop community to engage in this sharing of information and conversation. I came to Los Angeles about 20 years ago to begin work on my PhD at University of Southern California. I got my PhD in urban planning. I've worked about 15 years in nonprofit. Most of the work that I've done, including the time that I've spent in higher education, have revolved around the topics of race, racism, inequality, things of that nature. So that's a little bit of background about me. I'm here today to help kick off the celebration for Catholic Schools Week. And the theme for this year's Catholic School Week is faith, excellence, and service. Faith, excellence, and service. The theme for today is community. And I think community is so important to Catholic Schools Week, to how we think about our Catholic faith, how we think about the Bishop community, Bishop family, and the announcement that's going to be made a little bit later on in our conversation. So I just want to engage you in a bit of a dialogue, and I want to start by asking you to help me in defining the word community. What does community mean? What's community mean? Anybody? Yes. The gathering of various people from different backgrounds. I like that. Thank you. That's good. It's a good start. Anybody else want to add to that? Yes. You said the first part of that again? Okay. A place where multiple people come together. Okay. Thank you. I like that. Anybody else want to add? Anybody? Anybody on this side? This side has like right by the door, so they're a little cold to this side. This side's a little warmer. Anybody else want to add? So we have a place where people come together. What was also highlighted was people from different backgrounds, right? There are a lot of good things about community. Can anybody think of something that's positive about a community? What do we like about community? Yes, right here. There are a lot of people that we may not be familiar with. that we become familiar with. Okay, I got you. I like that. So I'll hand up over here. So the ability to come together, work together, and collaborate, right? Okay, I like that. Thanks to the two of you. On this side, I saw some hands up. What do we like about community? All the way in the back. A safe space. A safe space. Can I ask you to elaborate? What exactly is a safe space? Somewhere where you feel comfortable being yourself. I like that. Okay. All right. We can create a safe space. What else do we like about community? I saw some other hands up. Yes, again. I'll come back to you. Okay. Others want to add to this? Okay. Okay. People that you feel comfortable with, you develop a relationship with, you feel comfortable with them, you can rely upon them for when you're in need. Okay. So a lot of positive feelings around community. Can there be negative feelings around community? Are communities perfect? I see some heads shaking. Communities perfect? No, right? So communities are rarely perfect, if ever. But what that gives us the opportunity to do is to work toward perfection, right? So there's no perfect community. There are no perfect people. I know some of y'all think y'all are perfect. Some of y'all think y'all are. No perfect people, so we can all work to be better versions of ourselves, right? People agree with that? Okay. One of the things I like most about the idea of community is we want for communities to be the best that they can be. Communities are like families. And so, to the point I just made, or we agreed on, families experience tough times too, challenges. But communities, like families, get a chance to close the doors, huddle up, and say, how do we make this right? So communities can, in many ways, restore themselves. They can rebuild, right? They can reflect, think about what's not going well, and make changes to improve. Does that make sense? Okay. So we can define community. We can talk about what we like about community. We can talk about the fact that there can be challenges within our community, but that we can make the choice as members of that community to bring about the change we need to get back on the right track. I think it's important that we use this week to think about those points. Now, you all are sophomores. This is the class of 2024, correct? Right? Class 2024, correct? Okay. Y'all kind of like, I don't know what class. So, you all are heading toward the midway point of your journey here. The midway point. Pretty soon you'll be able to look back on 2 years and think, I've invested a little bit, I've learned some things, what have I seen in the last 2 years that I want to use the next 2 years changing or building upon? So I've been asking each class that I speak with a question. Started off this morning at about 9 o'clock, and I asked the seniors, what will your legacy be? What will your legacy be? It's a really important question for them. It's an important question for you too, we're just not there yet. Then I asked the juniors, what are you working toward What are you working toward? What are you thinking about right now? My question to you all as sophomores is, what have you seen? You actually get two questions. What are you going to do about it? What have you seen? And what are you going to do about it? Now, that doesn't assume that you've seen something bad, right? I know from doing my own research and from being here before that Bishop is an amazing environment to learn, to live, to be a student. But we're all in the business of getting better. We're all in the business of taking our respective games to the next level. And so what have you seen, and what will you do? As you're thinking about those questions, particularly this week, but you can ask yourself this question all the time, or at least think about these things all the time. When we celebrate Catholic Schools Week, we're celebrating what's at the core of our Catholic faith, what's at the core of this school community. But as we celebrate, we should take time to think about those people who are sowing into our lives. There are opportunities at Catholic schools, and at this school in particular, that a lot of other students don't have. I'm sure many of you know that. So it's important that we take time to celebrate the various faculty and staff members, administrators, who have sown into your lives, who continue to come here every day and meet you where you are, whether that's in person or virtually, through this very serious pandemic. It's important that we celebrate all of the coaches and the mentors and the other individuals that are here who assist in the various ways to make sure that your experience here is a meaningful one and a lasting one. So we celebrate this week. Celebrate a lot of things. Celebrate who we are. Celebrate what we're about. We celebrate the idea of getting better. We celebrate the idea of improvement. And we celebrate the amazing people that make it all happen for us on a daily basis. Bishop has taken a bold step, a very bold step, to create something that's extremely important, particularly in today's society. Some of you may know that we live in a very polarized society. As we are gathered here, there are conversations happening all across the country on some really interesting topics, like voter suppression, race and racism. Some of you are familiar with some of the various social movements that are going on. Black Lives Matter. And many other issues that Black Lives Matter and other activists concern themselves with. So Bishop is taking the bold step to, in the name of taking things to the next level, to create a new office. And the new office is known as the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Justice. What does such an office do? You ask great questions on a Monday morning. The goals of the office are as follows. First goal is that the office would serve as the central point of communication around all topics related to diversity, equity, and justice. So no matter where you are, no matter what class you're in or what you're involved in here at the school, you can use your voice and share your thoughts and ideas around any topic that you want related to diversity, equity, and justice with the office. The office wants to know what you think or what you have to say. Some of you might know from being in conversations around race and racism and some of the other topics that I mentioned that those conversations are really difficult to have. The complex conversations, people feel different ways, people have had different experiences, and therefore have a variety of feelings around these topics. Many times these conversations are difficult because people have not been educated on the topics, on the language, on people's life experiences. And so another goal that the office has is to ensure that everyone is educated, students, faculty, staff, administrators, that everyone begins to understand more, can be educated on various aspects of race, racism, and all forms of marginalization and oppression, so that the conversations we have can be productive. Along those lines, we want to make sure that everyone is aware of people's cultural experiences. So, as I think about my experiences, and I think about others' experiences in this room, we may all have different experiences. That doesn't mean that one person's experiences are more relevant or more important than another's. It just means they're different, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, we can learn from our different experiences and become more knowledgeable, more well-rounded, and more aware of what other people are going through in their daily lives. So awareness, along with education, is very important. We can throw around big words like anti-racism and oppression and marginalization. We can go on and on with those words. But one of the things that society can do much better, do a much better job of, I should say, is something that's actually pretty simple, but it's hard to check the box, and that is listening. Listening. Listening is pretty easy to do. How many people have had the experience of trying to share your thoughts on something and someone just cuts you off? Had that experience before? Yeah. See, if we become better listeners, not only do we grow in awareness and education and understanding, we can develop something called empathy, right? The idea of getting a better sense of what it's like to walk in another's shoes. But we don't know if we don't listen. So the office is going to be focusing on listening to the experiences of students, of faculty and staff. And so there'll be a process that's shared where if you have feedback or thoughts or experiences you want to share with the office, you can do that. Service is one of the hallmarks of Catholic Schools Week. There's never a bad time to engage in service. Some of you, I'm sure, are accumulating service hours in different places. There may even be a requirement that you have to do this in order to graduate. But there's another side of the lived experience that goes beyond service and focuses on justice. Justice. And so we can have conversations as a community around experiences that are touched by service and justice. It's not one or the other, it's both. Right? If we leave one out, we're not speaking to everyone. So we speak of both, service and justice. The office is going to assist in sort of expanding our vision of service and justice. And lastly, the office is going to be guided by data. I know not everybody in here is into math or statistics and a lot of numbers, but we actually use data every day. It's just not glorified and something we celebrate. But as the office is gathering your experiences and your thoughts and your feedback, that is data that the office can look at and say, hey, are we getting better? Are we better this year than last year? We received this feedback. We want to pay attention to the feedback as we go forward. And that's what it means to be informed by data. Now, that's about 5 goals. That's a lot of work. And so the office is going to be pretty busy, but I'm really pleased to announce that it's a group of committed faculty members who have been working on this office, the development of the office, and sort of the foundations of the office for several months now. And so I'd like to share the names of those faculty members, if that's okay with you all. So we're going to start off by highlighting Mr. John Hong over here. Give him a round of applause. The other individual who's wearing the nice Jordans, Mr. Gabe Hernandez. Ms. Melissa Rudder is also a member of the Diversity Committee. Mr. Eric Scheckler will also be involved. So I have the honor and privilege of engaging with these talented individuals on a regular basis. And we are extremely excited about the office and all that we know it will accomplish. So we thought that it'd be great to announce the opening of the office as we celebrate and think about and reflect upon community during Catholic Schools Week. So, having made that announcement, I am happy to field any questions that some of you may have. As you hear that, what does that mean to have an office? There have been several questions throughout the morning that the seniors and juniors had, and so I want to give you all time now to ask any questions that you may have about the office. Anyone? Any questions? Yes. What is the office going to do at the school? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. What is the office going to do? So it's a pretty broad question. I think there are a lot of things that the office is going to be doing. Some of them I highlighted. The office can do anything from host listening sessions for students, if students want to share their thoughts around a particular topic. The office is works very closely and collaborates with the Office of Campus Ministry. So this is not sort of a one-off. It's not like there's Bishop Montgomery and then this office. The office is central to what Bishop represents and what Bishop believes in. So the office could play a role in collaborating with student organizations to plan activities for Black History Month celebrations or Latinx Heritage Month celebrations or Asian American Heritage Month, right? It can do programming, can engage in listening. The office will sponsor various educational opportunities. Last August, before school started, I came out and led two-hour conversations with faculty and staff. So I think between education and training, engaging in listening to the experiences of the various members of the Bishop community, and engaging in various types of programming, that's certainly a robust start for an office. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks for that question. Other questions? Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Yes, I see. What is the process of contacting the office? A great question. So the office does have an email address, and we'll make sure we share that before we close out this conversation. But we're also working on different processes that will allow students to engage with the office. So let's say a student has a concern and they want to share it with the office. There could be a form that is conveniently located with all faculty members and staff members that a student could request. There could be forms in places that aren't necessarily tied to one specific faculty member, so it could be in a place in the library or in the gym where someone can grab a form, share what their concern is, and drop it off by the office. We're also thinking about processes that will allow interested individuals in connecting with any of the faculty members I mentioned earlier. So if someone wants to go to Mr. Sheckler, they can. If someone wants to go to any of those faculty members, they can come and share their thoughts via something like office hours or some other appointed time during the school day that those individuals will be available. Does that make sense? Okay, thanks for the question. Appreciate that. Other questions? These are great questions. Other questions about the office? Everyone see how the announcement of the office is tied to community, right? And the points that people made was a defined community, people from different backgrounds coming together, and the idea of restoring community, strengthening community, continuing to build the Bishop community. The office is going to play a very important role in that. So, as we close, I want to remind you of your questions. And those are, what have you seen and what will you do? I want to thank you for your time and attention this morning. I know it's cold, but you all have braved the elements and have survived. And so I thank you all for your attention, your participation. I look forward to seeing you all throughout the remainder of the year. Thank you.